Well, we're 6 days away from opening day, and it looks like the roster is getting slimmer and slimmer, getting closer to a 26-man roster. Christian Walker will take some ABs, and Monday and Tuesday, the Space Cowboys and the Astros square off at Dyken Park for the first games professionally with the new name. Let's talk about this and so much more on tonight's Locked On Astros.
Jainel Diaz, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Heisman and Brett HTown Wheelhouse Chancey.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome into another edition of Locked On Astros. I'm your guy, HTown Wheelhouse here, one of the two co-hosts of Locked On Astros. Eric is not in. He is out of commission, but he'll be back. He's getting some rest. He's recovering. He's feeling a little bit better, but he will be back for our first show of the week to talk about and hopefully know exactly who is on this roster. We will see. I don't know if they make any final decisions because Ryan Gusto is going on Monday for the Astros, I believe, versus the Space Cowboys, and then we'll see what other chips fall into place. But this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Go to FanDuel.com today. So check that out. Want to send our condolences to the George Foreman family. George Foreman, a Houston icon, a boxing great, one of the greatest to ever step into the ring, a man of faith. I believe he did some ministry, some pastoring. He also made the George Foreman grill. And so I'm pretty sure most of us, if not all of us, either had one or knew someone who had one, but nonetheless, a legacy of a great Houstonian and humble man. George Foreman passed away today, I believe, at the age of 76. So rest in peace, big guy, and give him heck up there. Let's just get into it because honestly, there is a lot to talk about. Someone's like 2022 Jeremy Pena. Yes, Pena redemption arc gonna be crazy. That's right. Look, I'm here for a Jeremy Pena rebound season. I think he's gonna hit the ball well. What's up, Michael Dunn? How y'all doing? Everyone's here. Everyone's locked into Locked On Astros. Thank y'all for hanging out. And yes, unfortunately, Hunter Brown did get crushed today, but it's spring training. Who cares? We don't care. He's going to be the number 2 starter. We know that. So the roster is taking shape today. Okay. Here are some things that happened today. And I'm going to post this tweet. I don't know how well you can read it, but for those listening, you obviously can't read what you're listening to. So I will go over what has happened today. Number one, Ben Gamel has been released. Luis Guillorme was told that he won't make the roster. Jalen Beeks had an option. He was granted a release. Miguel Castro was informed that he won't make the club. You have 8 healthy pitchers in camp right now. Hader, Abreu, Scott, King, who is on the mound today, Contreras, Montero, who looked excellent today, Okert, and Van Wy. Then Ryan Gusto will start Monday. He'll be starting for the Astros at Dyken Park against the Space Cowboys. And so what does this mean about Dezenzo, Cam Smith, Brendan Rodgers, and who will make the team? What does this mean for Cooper Hummel? What does this mean for John Singleton? What does this mean for Chas McCormick? I mean, when I look at this roster right now, let me just kind of go over this. We have 4 spots for basically 2 guys to get. And we know Caratini's going to be there. He's your backup catcher. We know Dubon's going to make it. He's your backup guy. So he's your utility infielder, I mean. So does Rodgers make second base? Absolutely. I think he's your starting second baseman. And I know a lot of people are saying move Jose Altuve back to second base. But here's the deal. And this is something that I think we need to take into account. I'm just going to park on this for a second. Because I was reading up on this, and there were players that were talking about Jose Altuve out in left field, and they were saying, and I don't think they're making excuses for their basically, unspoken captain, but they did make a good point. in left field in West Palm in Florida, there's a ton of wind. There's a ton of factors that don't factor into most ballparks. And somewhere like Dyken Park, there's no sun. Why? Because the roof's never open, and there's no wind. And so, therefore, they basically said, Chaz even said, the ball goes everywhere out there. Like, it is not easy to catch a fly ball. And my first inclination was to go to, oh, they're just making excuses saying that. But I was reading this up on different, from different outfielders from the Astros clubhouse. And that is what I think is going on here. Now, another thing, when we talk about moving inside to Dyken Park, and I think that is going to factor in to Cam Smith. If Cam Smith is not on this roster opening day, Mike Stanton said to me the other day, he said, when you put a second deck on the stadium, everything changes. You've got to understand that this is major league pitching. The pitchers, the pitching coaches, the scouts, they all have your info. You now have video on you. They know how to attack you. And even though I think Cam Smith's going to be successful, I think that for right now, okay, full transparency, I have Cam Smith on my opening day roster. I have Cam Smith starting in right field. I also have Altuve starting in left field, Jake Myers in center. The only thing that gives me pause is Cam Smith has never played right field at the big league level. I mean, let's just be honest there. I've got Walker at first. I think Walker takes his at-bats. I think he does good the game or two that he plays in the exhibition, and he's ready for Thursday opening day. I have got Rogers at second, platooning with Mauricio Dubon. I've got Jeremy Pena, obviously, at shortstop. Paredes at third, made an excellent play today. Excellent grab, excellent throw across the diamond. I've got Altuve in left field. Now, if for some reason they didn't want Altuve in left field, it's an easy fix. You move Altuve to second, you put Dezenzo in left, and then you can put, if you don't want to put Cam Smith in right, then you put Chas McCormick out there, okay? But again, so I have Jake Myers starting center fielder. I have Cam Smith starting in right field. But I'll tell you why I'm not convinced that that's going to happen. Diaz at catcher, Alvarez at DH. You've got Caratini on the bench. Then you've got names like Cooper Hummel, who has not been released. You have John Singleton, okay? Out of Singleton, out of Hummel, I think it's out of those two guys because I think Dezenzo could very well be on this roster as well. But if Cam Smith is on this roster, I don't think you have both Cam Smith and Dezenzo at the same time to start the year. And this is where, and someone tell me in here, if y'all remember where I said Cam Smith should start the season. I want to see if y'all can remember this little test, guys. Go back in memory. Where did I say he should start? I said he should start at a specific club at a specific level, and I said it multiple times. And I kept saying it, and people were slamming me for it. And then today, I heard someone else share where they thought that he would end up. If y'all want, yes, in Corpus, very good. I said he should start in Double-A. Why is that? Because Double-A is absolutely the best pitching that he's going to see. And today, I happened to check out Chandler's podcast today, and he was saying the same thing. You can give him consistent at-bats in Double-A and let him play right field every day and bring him straight up from Double-A. He doesn't have to go from double to triple. Let him play there a month. Now, what this is going to be dependent on is if you do that, I still think you could start Dezenzo in right field. Chaz is your fourth outfielder. I think Chaz comes off the bench. If Jose Altuve needs a rest, you can put Dezenzo in left and Chaz in right. Okay. I know that's not something that we all like to talk about. And trust me, I do want Chaz. I mean, I do want Cam Smith up on the big league roster, but I would love the fact that right here, my only position change I would have is I would take out Smith and I would have Dezenzo. Dezenzo would be on my roster. And one of the things I didn't think about was I was sitting here 1 through 13. I don't have Dezenzo on my list. I'm DFAing Singleton, and I'm bringing in Dezenzo. The reason why I DFA Singleton, and I know he's a left-handed bat, is simply because he is a one-dimensional player. He's a first baseman, and he's a left-handed bat. He's a left-handed bat that, yes, he does walk, but he still strikes out a ton. Dezenzo is showing maturity at the plate. And before we go any further, I want to talk about our wonderful sponsors that we have. We have wonderful sponsors like FanDuel and GameTime today. And after that, I want to tell y'all about the game that we're going to be going to May 24th. Y'all need to get your tickets. Let's hear about FanDuel right now. All right, our amazing sponsor right now is all in on March Madness. March Madness is here. If you've been watching the crazy endings, the buzzer beaters, the blowouts, FanDuel's giving you a chance to get in the action like never before. So right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. When I pick my favorite teams, I like to go the underdogs. I like to know what the spreads are, the totals, and I get all that from FanDuel. Also, with tournament games happening almost every day, there's always something exciting to bet on. The FanDuel app is simple to use, and when I win, I get paid instantly, no waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com today and get in the college hoops action all tournament long. And don't forget to check out our friends at GameTime. We have the season coming up. If you don't have your opening day tickets, I'm telling you, the third-party market is going crazy right now. But one of the things you can do is you can go to GameTime, get the app, use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply. You know that it is the official ticketing partner of Locked On Astros and the Locked On Network, and it's coming up. And I know that I can count on tickets no matter whether it's baseball, football, basketball, soccer, anything in between. You know that I've grabbed last-minute tickets. You know that I've found the unbeatable prices. I've literally been walking up to the ballpark, bought my ticket within minutes in the park. You get seat views before the game. They have a great cancellation policy if you lose your job. They have all kinds of stuff to basically make sure that you, the purchaser, are in the best situation. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets from GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All right, we'll talk about the May 24th game later on because we want to get past these little commercials and stuff because, look, we want to get past them because we want to get the information to you, but we want to get back to the talk. Now, what are 5 players that impressed Joe Espada this summer when he was interviewed just recently? One of them we've already talked about, Zach Dezenzo. And he said, this is what Joe Espada said about competition right now. He said, I'm expecting competition to go all the way through those last exhibition games. Monday and Tuesday, those are games where guys are going to be trying to make the major league roster. So they're going to be good games to go to. So check it out and go hang out at those games. You already have someone that won tickets to Tuesday's games. Now, Zach Desenzo has been killing it this spring. 2 homers, 415, a 1.138 OPS, just looking the part, doing well. And Joe Espada said he's had a great spring. He's hitting the ball to all fields, and he's never backed down. Also, Cam Smith, he said that Joe Espada mentioned that he was only going to play him at third base, and he was wrong. Why? Because he kept making decisions at the plate that forced their hand into seeing what other positions Cam could play to get him in the lineup. And so right now, he thinks that Cam Smith is on his way to have a great year with the Astros. He just didn't say whether or not he would be on the opening day roster. Another guy that went today, Logan Van Wy. Logan Van Wy, he struck out 98 hitters in 72 2/3 innings last year in AAA, and he's allowed only 1 run and struck out 12 2/3 innings. Van Wy, they want to see more stuff against lefties. They want to see what he does because he's very successful against right-handed batters, but he has the toughness, they think, to make it. Jeremy Pena. Is this going to be a Jeremy Pena revenge tour? La Tormenta is going to be intense this year. He's going to go out there. Dude's batting .459, added 2 more hits today. Just looks good at the plate. And Brian King, one of the relief pitchers. Last year, he was a 27-year-old rookie. He posted a 2.39 ERA with 28 games. And so what they like about Brian King is Joe Espada said, Brian King is a guy that I trust to be able to go into tough situations or high leverage situations. And so you want to see that. You want to see these guys come in. You want to see them compete. We lost Presley. We lost Neris. We lost Matan. A lot of people are like, oh, well, but look, those guys contributed. When they were good for us. So that brings us to this natural conversation of who makes the bullpen. My bullpen right now as it sits, Josh Hader, Brian Abreu, Logan Van Wy, who's not on the 40-man. A 40-man roster spot could open up because you have JP France, Christian Javier, and Luis Garcia. That could be 60-day IL to open a spot. Stephen O'Kurt, Rafael Montero, Contreras, Taylor Scott, and Brian King. Now, Ryan Gusto is on the 40-man roster, so you wouldn't have to move anybody. You have other guys that have options. Now, let me tell you why I think Gusto makes it over someone like a Van Wy. Number one, Gusto can be a starter. I don't know that they need a 6-man starting, rotation to start the game. They probably just go with 5, but maybe they feel like they need that guy. And do they put him in there as a long relief guy? I'm not sure. I know it's not good to bounce guys back and forth, and that's not really how the Astros work. But Gusto doesn't create an issue because he's already on the 40-man. Now, Van Wy, if he doesn't start in the bigs, which I think he is, that's okay. Just like Cam Smith, it's not a disaster or terrible if Van Wy or Cam Smith don't start in the majors. They're going to contribute. That is what is going to go on. Regardless of what happens this season, Cam Smith, I believe, will fight for Rookie of the Year. Cam Smith will get enough at bats. Cam Smith will be solid this year, and that's what I want. Now, someone says right here, could Wisniewski and McCullers piggyback off each other and go like 4 innings each every 5 days? This is what I would like to say, and Jay, I'll update you on Forrest Whitley here in a second. Wisniewski is your 5th starter. Unless Wisniewski's struggling to go beyond 4 innings, I don't see him being a piggyback starter because you got to think about this. And that's why Ryan Gusto may be a guy that comes up. If Wisniewski struggles any in the beginning, Ryan Gusto could be there. Now, Ryan Gusto's on the 40-man, so you can hide him in AAA, let him get a couple starts, and bring him up for a spot start. Maybe Wisniewski, maybe something comes up, he has some soreness, or I don't know. I know they don't do the phantom injuries anymore, they say, but there's probably a way to squeeze him up there. Some other guys have options, so on and so forth. But I think the McCullers thing and the Wisniewski thing could happen, but I really don't think they're going to bring up McCullers until they feel like he's ready to pitch between 5 and 7 innings per start. I think he's going to get 3 to 4 starts minimum in AAA. It's going to be about not how he pitches per se, but how he feels the day after that. Okay. So Forrest Whitley, there are some updates on him. Forrest Whitley has started throwing, but he's been throwing on flat ground. He is going to be on the IL to start the season with Caleb Ort. Brian McTaggart reported that Forrest Whitley will remain in Florida next week. This was at 1:00 on Saturday to face hitters while the team is in Houston, but said he was hitting 95 miles an hour off flat ground and his knee is fine. He just needs some reps. So good news, but I think they're going to slow walk Whitley back on there because they don't want to take a chance. Apparently the bone bruise is not that bad because he's throwing 95. So I don't know where the bone bruise came from. I don't know what's going on. Why? Okay. Michael H asked a solid question. Why McCullers injured so he's asking if McCullers has a history of being injury plagued, why are they going down that starter's road again? Well, and we covered this on a previous show. You may or may not have been watching, or if you're like me, you slept several times since then, so you don't really recall everything. But here's the deal. Lance McCullers made the case. I talked to Mike Stanton about this as well. Here's the deal. If you're a starting pitcher, you don't just willy-nilly become a bullpen guy. He said being a bullpen guy is tough. And I was on the bullpen Lance McCullers train for a long time. And then I started thinking about it. Well, then you're going to pitch more often. Then you're going to have games where you get heated up and you don't actually pitch. And then you're going to be asked to pitch 2 or 3 days in a row. And Lance McCullers Jr. needs to be healthy 100%, and he needs to be a starter. They have not shut him down as a starter. That's why they're going to put him as a starter. He's actually ahead of schedule. He's feeling better than he's ever felt. And we're going to continue to talk about this and what lineup I think gives us the best chance after we hear about the bracket breakdown from Locked On Podcast Network.
The NCAA Tournament is here, and so is the bracket breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA Tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Hey there, thank y'all for tuning in to Locked On Astros, and seriously, check it out. I actually watched a couple of the shows this week on my Fire TV channel. Look, Fire TV, you can go to MLB, search Astros. You'll find every Locked On Astros episode. Pretty soon we'll be launching our channel on the Roku app, and then soon after that, the Locked On Podcast Network will have its own app, so you'll have to check that out. And yes, you guys are like peppering me with all kinds of stuff. I don't know if it's when I'm solo, I pay attention to the chat more because I'm in the conversation with Eric, but I love this. It gets me going. It keeps the blood flowing. But I've got to stay on track here. So what lineup gives you the best chance to win? Now, I'm going to say this. There is a quote that Chandler Rome shared he shared on a show that I went and read his article. He heard Dubon say this about Cam Smith, and I want to share it with y'all. I would encourage y'all to get a subscription to The Athletic. It's like $1 a month. It's really worth it. But here's what Chandler said from Dubon. Smith just turned 22 last month and is a veteran of just 134 professional, plate appearances, but is spoken about like someone with triple the service time. His charisma is contagious to his locker mates, some of whom shake their heads in amazement at Smith's potential. You can quote me on this. Now, this is a quote from Dubon. When he figures it out, when he has an idea of what they're going to do to him in the big leagues, I think he's going to be the next 60 homer guy, said Dubon, who dresses 2 lockers away from Smith. He'll put in the work, and he's got that much pop. 60 home runs? Oh, my gosh. Now, I don't know if Cam Smith is going to hit 60 home runs. I do know that Dana Brown said that he's a guy that could hit 30 home runs for the next 6 or 7 years. And I'm on board with that. But, oh, my gosh, I was like, this is Mauricio Dubon. Mauricio Dubon said that. Yeah, he didn't say this year. Well, no. He didn't say this year. He just said he's the next 60 home run guy. Exactly. No, he didn't say Cam Smith was going to be a rookie and hit 60 home runs. He's saying, because he doesn't say this year, he says when Cam figures out what they're doing with him in the major leagues. In other words, once Cam gets up, he's going to adjust like any solid major league player does. Because remember back, I mean, this begs us to go back to, I believe Alex Bregman went like 2 for 40 or something like that in his first 40, plate appearances. And they still believed in this guy. They're like, no, this guy is it. And they're talking about Cam Smith. They're raving about Cam Smith the way they raved about Jeremy Pena. I mean, do you remember all the talk about Jeremy Pena? You remember when we lost Carlos Correa? We're like, how are we going to replace this guy? And they're like, Jeremy Pena's the next superstar. And then he had that amazing 2022 season, that amazing rookie campaign. And I think he's getting back. Way to temper expectations. Well, hey, listen, sarcastic parody. I did temper the expectations. I'm not saying Cam Smith's going to come in and hit 60 home runs, okay? I remember watching Mark McGwire in his rookie year hit 49 home runs. That was way long before steroids, okay? That's my guy. Don't bag on my guy. But at the same time, I think Cam Smith comes in and he plays enough ball. He could hit 30-plus home runs. His power and what Joe Espada said about him is what we've been missing in this lineup, that pop. Now you have Christian Walker. Now you have Paredes, Yordan, Pena, who's getting more lift. Then if you throw in Cam, and then if you got Dezenzo, who I don't know if he's going to hit a bunch of tanks, but you've got a lineup that is stretched, that is at least 1 through 7 solid. And then Jake Myers doesn't have to hit Look, if Jake Myers can hit between 240 and 250, if Jake Myers can give me between 9 and 13 home runs, if Chaz plays, he needs to give me 20-something home runs, okay? But, at the end of the day, this is the deal. I think the lineup, and I've been kind of like bearing the lead here, the lineup that I think gives us the most chances to win, and I'm not going to give it in their exact order where they would hit, but I think Jose Altuve, I'll try to do it in my order. Jose Altuve, Isaac Paredes, Yordan Alvarez, Christian Walker. That's your top 4. Then I want Yainer Diaz 5th. I would like to see I would like to see Cam Smith 6th. I would like to see Desenzo 7th. I would like to see Myers 8th. And I guess I would have to put Dubon in there. Or no, Rogers would be 9th. Now, your best offense would be Dubon in there, but at the same time, I think you've got several guys in here that can hit for power. I think you've got guys like Zach Dezenzo, who has speed, who's young enough and strong enough and can do more than one thing. I said Jeremy Pena, I believe I said Jeremy Pena. I'm sorry. That's who I left out, Jeremy Pena. That's right. Jeremy Pena would be in there. Myers could have a breakout season. Look, do y'all remember who? Yes, Paredes is better at 2 at the second position. But last year, I called Hunter Brown to have a breakout year. You know who my breakout year was? Do y'all remember who I said? Who did I say was my breakout candidate this year? Someone tell me. Come on, class. This is a pop quiz again. I'm a teacher, so I'm trying to get your take on this. Who did I say was going to have a breakout year this year? I'll give you a hint. It's not any of the veterans. Desenzo. That's correct. Sanjay, good job. Desenzo. No, not McCullers. I said McCullers could be comeback player of the year if he's successful and stays healthy. So at the end of the day, the Houston Astros, look, I wrote this down earlier. What do they need to do? What are they looking for? They're looking for a lineup with pop. I think that has Smith and or Desenzo in it. I think Smith definitely is a part of that. They need a fast start. Whoever's up, I don't care who it is. If it is Chaz, then God bless you, Chaz. Hit a couple home runs in the first series. Effective at bats. What does that mean? Not just home runs, walks, getting on base, moving runners over. When a guy's in a scoring position, bring them home. Effective at-bats. When you are in one-run contests, you win those one-run contests. That's how I see it. I would love Smith and right and Dezenzo and left and Altuve back at second base. I really would. I really would love that. But I don't think they're putting Altuve back at second base too often. Now, if you do have Dezenzo and Smith both up, they said they want to get them in the game every game. Well, then you know what? You can forget Yordan ever playing left field because it'll be a platoon situation between second base with Rogers and Altuve, left field, Altuve, Dezenzo, maybe Yordan every once in a while. I would go out on a limb and say that Yordan plays less than 35 games in the outfield this year. Maybe 25 games in the outfield. I think it's going to be that few. And this is what I think could happen. If you get Smith in right field at AA Corpus and he crushes it, you give him, a couple weeks down there. I know people say, why don't you go ahead and move him to AAA? I don't care. Just get him regular at bats in the right field, whether it's in AAA or whether it's in AA. Now, AAA is a much tougher ballpark. AA is in Corpus because the wind down there is insane, but we'll have to see. Look, guys, this has been a great show. Y'all are the best part of this show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Watch, subscribe, follow. Oh, before I go, don't forget, you need to go to the community tab, go to the post tab, and look for the Locked On Astros group night. Click on the link. It's $45 for the tickets. Yordan Alvarez bobblehead being given away. And I promise you, you're going to have a lot of fun with us. I'm saving the jerseys. I'm not selling them. I'm giving them to you. I got bobbleheads. I'm giving them to you. So you know what? From myself, from Eric the Man Heisman, and everybody here at Locked On Astros, make sure that you tune in to us every day. Make sure that you make us your first listen and make Locked On MLB your second listen. And make sure that you check out the bracket breakdown from Locked On Sports like no other sports group has. We're your team every day. Go Stros. And y'all are great. I love y'all so much. Y'all are the best.